everyone, welcome to the Community Classroom and History on Trial. This is Dr. Tracey McCarthy, psychologist, attorney, and educator. We're going to be talking about the psychology of disinfectants, in other words, how certain disinfectants behave and the history of research on disinfectants. There has been a dynamic whereby healthcare and health and wellness have been highly politicized lately. And so what this has done is it has obscured facts about health and healthcare and sort of circumvented people getting an understanding of the truth about certain health issues. And this has been escalating as of late. And so we are going to clarify the history of the use of disinfectants in relation to the human body. And then you should just keep in mind that when it comes to getting facts about health and wellness, that and history on research, it's important that you do your own research related to the research, and also focus on getting information from your own healthcare partner, because you can't really get nuanced healthcare information from media makers, from the mass media that is related specifically to you. And so in order to get that information, you need to be dealing with your own healthcare partner. So politicians cannot be your healthcare partners, and many of these people who are identifying as researchers and scientists and even medical professionals, they also cannot be your personal healthcare consultants as they are presenting things in the media. And you also need to be able to do your own research so that you can separate fact from fiction for yourself. And if this appears on anything other than Dr. Tracey McCarthy, it is stolen and unauthorized. Let's get started. And I want to bring your attention to this piece of scripture that is so relevant to this discussion. And it relates to the foolish things of the world being used to confound the wise. There are a number of people who sometimes believe that they know every single thing, and they present in that way and would like to encourage you to believe that they know every single thing. And sometimes out of the mouths of babes will come all sorts of wisdom. And those who envision themselves wise and brilliant and smart may not actually always be so. Okay, let's quickly just look at the definitions of infectant and disinfectant to serve as the foundation of our discussion. And so an infectant is basically an agent of infection, and usually you think of things like bacteria or viruses. And a disinfectant is just an agent of some sort that frees a surface or a body from infection. Now, one disinfectant that has received a great deal of attention by extrapolation is sodium hypochlorite. And sodium hypochlorite is basically household bleach. And many people have perhaps forgotten that this particular disinfectant is used frequently in dental procedures, particularly in what's known as a root canal irrigation. And so this is commonly used in a diluted form for those procedures. Now, this is not to suggest that anyone should take it upon themselves to ingest this or use it on themselves in any way, shape, form, or fashion. And so that caveat has to be put there, just because people can take this kind of discussion in a bunch of different directions. But it is important to note that this particular disinfectant is a common disinfectant in actual healthcare procedures, and this is coming from the American Association of Endodontists. And you also have household bleach being used to make water safe. And so sometimes a city, a municipality may be under a boil order, or someone may not have access to clean water and they may have to disinfect that water themselves, or the water that is actually coming from the municipal water supply, it actually is disinfected with this substance already. And so individuals are taking this in without even thinking about it as it is coming in to the household, water that is being consumed or used on the body. And so this is from the CDC, so you can see where this information is coming from. And here you have some additional information about some sort of everyday disinfectants that people use in relation to the body. And so you have saline, you have sodium bicarbonate, you also have hydrogen peroxide and Listerine. And so these are some disinfectants. Again, these are sort of overlooked, or people have been overlooking them as they've been sort of joking about people being quote unquote stupid for suggesting that human beings might use different forms of disinfectants, or doctors may use different forms of disinfectants for the human body to rid it of infectious states. And so you can see these are disinfectants that many people use daily in their daily lives. And here you see some additional information about some of the disinfectants, and you see saline serving an antiseptic disinfecting function, and you also see Listerine listed. And so you see hydrogen peroxide. So again, these are common disinfectants that people use, and this is commonly known. But when people have been listening to the media or listening to reports of what happened in the media, it's very easy for people to get confused and forget what they actually know. And here, this is just simply pointing out that hydrogen peroxide might be the most effective of these disinfectants. And here you have an additional article that discusses the use of oral disinfectants in relation to oral tumor cells. This is coming out of 2013. The previous information that we just looked at, that was 2017. And so this isn't even new information. This is relatively old information. And again, many people were making fun of this idea that disinfectants could be used in relation to the body. And so here we have some more information from the CDC talking about how actual metals can serve a disinfecting role. So people have been talking a lot about zinc lately. And so zinc is one of those metals. Silver is another metal. Copper is another metal, and there are actual supplements related to these metals. And so this is not some outrageous idea that has been offered in terms of using disinfectants either on the body or in relation to the body. There was recently a lot of debate related to a suggestion that there should be some research done to look at the possibility of using UV sources in order to fight infections, and also the importance of sunlight. That was also discussed. And again, this was made light of and made fun of, and the suggestion was attacked as an asinine sort of suggestion. And again, you can tell by these discussions that many people who are doing the attacking of these ideas that are being thrown out there, they either have not done their research, or they are simply sort of relishing in creating drama and not really doing any service to the community. And so one big issue, again, was this ultraviolet light idea. And you can see here from the CDC, there has been a history of looking at research using UV radiation. And so you are encouraged, again, to look at this information for yourself so that you can parse what is good information from what is not necessarily good information, or reports on historically what has been taking place. And in terms of research, there has been a focus on the importance of UVC light in particular, in terms of disinfecting high-touch surfaces in hospital critical areas and dental offices and places like that. Again, this is not brand new research that just popped up. And so this is from 2019, and you can see that this was published by the federal government. And iodine is yet another disinfectant. Iodine is also considered an essential nutrient that is needed by the human body. But iodine is also used for disinfecting wounds, disinfecting surfaces in hospitals. And so this is an old disinfectant. You can also use it in emergency situations to disinfect water. So again, this is a dynamic whereby you do have disinfectants that are consumed in one way or another or used on the human body. That some people may forget about when they are talking about disinfectants and sort of dismissing this idea that disinfectants can play any role in health and healing. And here you have an article that was published by the U.S. National Library of Medicine talking about purifying drinking water with sun, salt, and limes. And so again, there is already research out there on these topics, and you can find the research going in a bunch of different directions, but the important thing is that the research is actually out there. And so when individuals who are media makers are discussing these things, it's important that they look these things up first, but often that does not take place. And so you just simply cannot depend on them to do the research that they should be doing so that you can get adequate information. And so you're going to have to do that on your own. So as soon as you hear some odd suggestion out there, you are encouraged to start looking that up, because there may be more credence to it than people may realize. And here's some additional information related to the antiviral dynamic related to sodium bicarbonate, which is baking soda. And here we have some very recent information coming from the EPA, and it is a listing of disinfectants for use specifically against SARS-CoV-2. You all know that by another name sometimes. So this was updated on the 21st, so it's a pretty updated list of disinfectants, and you will notice common disinfectants that you are used to seeing on this list. And here you have an active ingredient in a disinfecting agent, and that is sodium chloride, salt. You have hydrogen peroxide for rhinovirus. And on this list, you see citric acid listed a number of times related to rhinovirus. And so it's upper respiratory infection dynamic. And when you think of citric acid, you think of vitamin C, of course. You also have hydrogen peroxide listed a few times as the active disinfecting ingredient. And some people might not think of citric acid as a disinfectant, but it actually is used frequently as an antiviral. There have also been discussions and criticism about the idea that disinfectants could be taken internally. And so you have here an article related to the intravenous use of vitamin C for the reduction of cytokine storms. And given this particular topic, this is a very important discussion to have, and important research to look at. And so this was published in the U.S. National Library of Medicine, NIH. And so you are encouraged to look at this article and other articles so that you can get a better understanding of how disinfectants are actually used both on surfaces and on the body and in the body. There was also criticism about the idea of using ultraviolet light internally. And some people suggesting that that was just a ridiculous idea, not backed by any science or any history of such. But here you see an article that was found in the U.S. National Library of Medicine, NIH. And this is about the cure that time forgot, and this is about the ultraviolet sort of cleaning of the blood. And this process was used extensively in the 1940s and 50s to treat everything under the sun related to pneumonia, tuberculosis, arthritis, asthma. And one of the things that happened was as the use of antibiotics increased, there was a reduction in the use of these sorts of natural sorts of things, what people would historically think of as natural. And so again, you can see that this research is out there and these interventions have been previously used, so they are not as anomalous as some media makers and some politicians would suggest that they are. And so again, you need to look up these things for yourself. One thing that is also addressed in this article is the issue of antibiotic resistance and also the use of what is considered alternative and complementary medicine. And so sometimes things that are considered alternative or complementary are sidelined and not considered as viable as other things. And so again, it's important for you to do your own research so that you're not just depending on what someone else is saying about a particular research, a particular therapy, or a particular theory. Okay, we've addressed this disinfectant debate and the danger of politicizing health and wellness in the way that it has been politicized. And so people have not really had access to the truth coming from the media makers because for the most part, there has been an obscuring of truth and a refusal to actually look at the research that is completely readily available. This is not rocket science. And so it's important for you to get the information for yourself, clarify for yourself all of these things that are being discussed. And so you can see that disinfectants are common things that people use daily and have been using these things throughout time. People have not always had access to this highly advanced allopathic medicine. And in developing countries, they still don't always have complete access to these things. And so therefore, some of the things that are considered quote unquote alternative and complementary are the basics in terms of the healthcare in certain areas. And so these things should not be just automatically sidelined in the public discourse. And so it's important, again, for everyone to do their own research and not just take what media makers and politicians and journalists are saying as the unmitigated healthcare truth. Even if you hear something from a clinician, a scientist, a researcher, you also still need to go behind them too, because they may have not looked at certain things, or they may not be focusing on certain things, or they also may be highly politicizing some things. Remember, knowledge is power. Take care. See you soon.